Hello AEP 800. This is my fifth and final video on the 5 new technologies that I'm using this year. I debated which ones to use and I decided to go with 5 that I use on a daily basis that I'm the most familiar with. I decided to show you my Google Classroom. I know it's probably pretty obvious and a lot of you probably already use this, so it's not really innovative, but it is new to me this year. I just did parent-teacher conferences last night and this morning, and I found myself explaining the classroom over and over so the parents knew where to go to look at the student work, to look for the student assignments, for the homework, for some of the feedback that I've been giving them. I'm pretty much paperless. I do use packets and some grammar practice, mostly in my Spanish classes. On paper, they do packets and then they have quizzes. My English classes, a lot of them are online, other than their note taking, other than some of their grammar practice. But most things that we do and most things that I grade are online using docs mostly. So here are the 8 classes that I teach. I have 3 different English classes, a reading enrichment class, junior high Spanish classes, Spanish 1, 2, and here's my Spanish 3. We also have our staff classroom where we can ask questions. Information can be dispersed to us in that way. And also it was set up as a model. More and more teachers in my district are moving this way. I actually found out through parent-teacher conferences and seeing some of the other teachers' classrooms online and the ways in which they use it. So here's I'll just click on my 6th grade classroom. I have 13 students. It's my first hour class. So I do the vocab quizzes on docs, and some people could argue that the students can look up their work and Google their answers. I do enough walking around during quizzes that this doesn't happen, and especially at the 6th grade level, the students haven't really caught on to this as a possibility. I'm sure it's coming and something that I will need to address. I also had a parent who's an IT coordinator at a hospital tell me that he uses Google Forms a lot. I did use some Google Forms. I'm really not as proficient in it or as comfortable with it. Also, it's the same, if not more, in the amount of work rather than just doing a quiz on the doc. So I do have student names here, no last names. I have my ESL students, so they have a different list of words each week and just a little bit different expectations each week. So they do their quiz online too. And then here's my normal vocabulary quiz that covers their Latin and Greek root words and then putting the words in the proper blanks. I also do bell ringers on here, so they come to class and they sit down ready to work, ready to write, ready to think. Some people could argue that some of their work should be done on paper. Some of it is done on paper, but one of their state standards is that they need to be able to type a certain amount in a certain amount of time. And I'm finding that even as 6th graders coming into my class, that they don't have a lot of great typing skills, even though they've been using computers since probably 1st or 2nd grade now at this point. So I'm going to try to work with elementary teachers on a little bit more word processing. I remember as a student, I started using word processing in the 3rd grade, and that was back in the 90s. So I think that we should push our students a little bit more forward in word processing when they're younger, so they have a little bit more typing skills and not just typing with thumbs on phones. Okay, so this is, like I said, my classroom. Here's my ESL vocabulary. I ask bell ringers. I also will list questions that they have over a reading that we did. I This is nice because it's has the date stamp of when I assigned it. I did edit it, and then when it's due. So assigned this September 21st. It was due the 26th at 8 a.m. This was the ESL assignment. So here's the regular assignment. I do find that it's easier to make accommodations using Classroom. This is assigned to one student, whereas this is assigned to 12. I find this is nice when I grade. I can click on this. It shows the students' names. I can click on their assignment. I usually use this as an app on my iPad. However, it is a website that is free and works on all browsers. I like editing on my iPad because it almost feels like pen and paper. I was a copy editor in a former life, and so I really like the idea of the red pen and being able to kind of touch the work and mark it up and fix it. And so on my iPad, I can click and I can do that just with, like, my mouse is moving right now. I can use that. I can use my finger to do that and write with my finger or click on it and type notes. I really like the Classroom. Just it helps keep me organized. It helps keep the student organized. The parent can look over the student's shoulder and see what they have done and what they don't have done. If I was on the student site, it would tell me whether I had this turned in or not, whether it was late, missing, or turned in. So I tell the parents that anytime you scroll through their Classroom and the work is not lit up green, then they need to complete that work, and that's the assignment that they have. So this is the Classroom that I have. I use this for all of my classes. I find that it's easier for me to stay organized with teaching 8 different classes, and also as a challenge that I face, I have my Spanish classes as the last 2 classes of the day. So my 7th and my 8th hour are Spanish classes, and I have a lot of students who are gone for school activities. They're gone for medical, dental appointments made later in the day. So instead of that student actually having to come to me and ask me face to face what the homework was, they can get on their Classroom and they can see what they need to do. That's also with No Red Ink. It's the same thing. They know that they have that assignment. They don't have to see me face to face. They know it's already online. That's where the Remind app comes in. It's one more way that a student can connect with me, can send me a text message or email me or get some kind of instant feedback on a question or an assignment that they might have. I also use these to post announcements, test dates. If we have a fun or fiesta or something in a Spanish class and students need to bring something, I can also publish this here. For English class, their textbooks that I use part of the time are huge, and I know that they have textbooks in a lot of other classes. So instead of them having to drag all those textbooks around every day, they can take a picture of the work. I can take a picture of the work that they need to do and upload it. So then they just have to worry about taking their laptop. So the feedback that I got from parents on this last night and this morning at parent-teacher conferences was very positive. Many of them didn't know that this was the place where they needed to go, even though I had it listed on my syllabus and they were to sign off on it. Some of those little details, parents, they skim over or they forget. So that was a good reminder. And I was met with a lot of encouragement on using Classroom, because then not only can they access it anywhere, the parent also can. We use Skyward as our grading system, and our grades are due the last day of the week at 8 a.m. So we are a Monday through Thursday school, so my grades are due Thursday at 8 a.m. So Wednesday, a lot of the teachers catch up on grading then. With Classroom, there are no surprises. If a student doesn't have something turned in, they'll have a 0 in the gradebook until they turn that in, and there are no surprises. And a lot of parents were really fans of that because sometimes in Skyward, there's a little bit of a lag between what's actually turned in and the grades that are in the gradebook. So this is my Google Classroom. There's no going back on this. I'm full speed ahead going forward with it and plan to use it a lot more in the future.